So let's get started with elevating the guest experience through technology here at the Fontainebleau. I have a little thing prepared for us. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're enjoying Inspire 2024 as much as we are. My name is Giorgio Galeris, and I'm a marketing associate at Crestron Electronics. Super excited to be here, and I'm thrilled to moderate today's panel. I'm here with, we are here in one of the most iconic destinations in Las Vegas, a property not only setting new standards for luxury, but also redefining how technology can elevate every aspect of the guest experience and beyond. This panel is all about the intersection of hospitality and innovation, and not only in the theoretical sense of, well, this is what technology can do for you, but this is what technology is doing for us in this very building. So, from personalized in-room experiences and energy savings to streamlined event management, the technology is revolutionizing the hospitality industry, and Fontainebleau is leading the way. So, I'm very excited to introduce our panelists today, some of the key leaders that helped make this vision of the perfect marriage of hospitality and technology a reality. Starting with Travis.
Hi, Travis Hall, Director of Crestron, Hospitality for Crestron. I live here in Las Vegas, but cover our hospitality accounts and partners globally. Living here, I got to work exclusively with our partners that are sitting next to us in deploying this building over the past, I would say 15 years, because I've been here that long. But it obviously only took, 1 or 2 years to put it up. So thank you all for joining, and I'll hand this off to Richard Rising.
Richard Reisig, I'm a principal at Technology West Group. We were the systems integrator for all the audio, video, and multimedia networks here at Fontainebleau. We're a local Las Vegas systems integrator.
Ryan Keene. I'm the manager of audiovisual here at Fontainebleau. So I manage and operate all the audiovisual functions and control for the entire building.
My name is Brandon Peak, and I'm with Design Concepts. We're a lighting manufacturer agent here in town, and we represent 100 different manufacturers, but specifically, we were able to sell the Crestron lighting hardware control for this project.
Good afternoon, I'm Jim Gist. I'm an owner's rep for Fontainebleau and been involved with the project since the reinception for how many times, but really overseeing the entire technology budget and infrastructure design management with all the consultants to see this thing come back to life from not from the ashes, but almost.
And we're glad it got through it because we're super excited to be here. There is a lot of technology in a building like this. Often, we can see giant commercial applications, giant residential applications, but hospitality, both those worlds come together in some of the biggest ways on the planet. So we're going to dabble into a lot of the technology. There's only so much we can get into in our limited time, but gentlemen, we're going to try our best, right? My first question is actually to you, Jim. Can you walk us through the process of designing the advanced technology systems at the Fontainebleau? What were some of those key challenges, and what milestones really stood out to you as you were going through this process?
Sure. Generally, you start with a lot of brown liquor, but when you look at an integrated resort, things have evolved quite a lot. When I first worked in this space with designing City Center back in the day, the idea was, hey, we wanted an IP connected everything hotel, and that didn't really exist yet. And even what we pulled off there was kind of really bleeding edge. It wasn't the easiest thing to do, and there was a lot of challenges along the way. Fast forward to today, some of the same challenges exist. Some of the new solutions that some of our technology partners help with that. But the reality in putting a system together is everything in this building is connected with data, and either a cable or hopefully a cable, either fiber or copper, but if not, in a robust wireless system. So nothing happens in a resort without that. And then with the properly designed system, you have amazing apparatus to manage your property because the systems are now connected properly. You have the right kind of data flowing through it from your data lake, and you have the right sort of analytics that you can measure and improve the operation along the way.
Thank you. I've got a quick question for you on that. Was there a point in that journey where you're like, this was the right decision for us to go down this path?
But in this project specifically, we were dealing with a lot of legacy issues. I mean, the building was here, and a lot of infrastructure was here, and so we had to really make a decision: do we pull the copper out because only half the building was wired? Do you put the fiber in? For me, and talking with some of the other technologists, that was an easy conversation. You know, for the financial side, they're like, "Well, we have copper, we can use that." Well, not necessarily. It's been in the walls for years in some cases, if not almost a decade. So the choices we made with Extreme, with the going fiber and 10 gig to the room, our partners from the AV side, Crestron's been wonderful to work with. Technology West is. No, I won't work with anybody else, not because he's just sitting on the stage, but they're awesome. And then Ryan, frankly, from an operations standpoint, I got to know him when I came back in the industry to help right size the technology at Resort World after they open. And him and his team are on the front line and deal with all our high service guests and high service operational needs every day, and they do it with a smile normally.
That is the goal. Actually, the next question is for you, Richard. All this technology in a hotel, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. So my question to you is, how did you ensure technology enhances that guest experience rather than take away from it, and while blending that with the architectural features and design of a beautiful establishment like this?
So if you look throughout the property, you'll see we spent a lot of time hiding AV. If you walk out to the casino floor, there was a lot of discussions. It's a beautiful casino floor, beautiful chandeliers. It's how do you service that without affecting that vision that they had from an interior design standpoint. So, that instance, if you'll see black registers, air conditioning grills surrounding the entire casino floor, and we stuck all the speakers in those registers and went through a lot of mock-ups and a lot of engineering to kind of pull off that vision, because the guest experience just isn't a pretty picture. It's also it's got to sound good. It's got to operate, and then second to those those big pieces of hiding AV was getting all the systems on the network, getting them networked properly. Ryan's teams, at least in Las Vegas, operational teams are getting smaller and smaller. So we really had to deliver on making technology work for his team. So he's teams are getting smaller and smaller, and his teams need to do more. So it's really picking those products and picking those partners that can be serviced over the network, that can be serviced from anywhere.
It's a great point out. It's a very small detail, but if you go to the lobby, there's the black grill. And I was walking through it myself, and I heard the music playing, but I was like, where's that coming from? So to your credit, excellent execution, and I love it. Yeah. In walking of that execution, Brandon, from a lighting perspective, how can you complement the design of a space while still making it easy to control?
Yeah, so considering the design and the architecture of the property, just like Richard said earlier, we didn't want to be obtrusive and be a bunch of keypads on a wall. So all of our lighting control integrates seamlessly into what they did with the AV stuff. And so that can be one point of control. And we also decided to standardize as much as possible so that whether you're up in a suite or you're down on the casino floor or you're in a restaurant, it's similar equipment. Now, there's varying needs, right? But it all blends together for a seamless experience.
And I think that standardization is a key thing that we would want anyone to take away from when you're dealing with a property of this size. You don't want to be dealing with 500 million SKUs. You will, but you'll try to make it as little as possible. My next question is for you, Travis, on the end. So what role did collaboration between Crestron, our integrators, and Fontainebleau leadership play in this process? And specifically, what role did you play in this process?
I was the local, we'll call myself the local salesperson. Don't really like that. Sorry, don't really like that term. But I was for a long time here locally involved in this project, from working with Technology West Group and their design to the ownership group of the property to ensure that the products that we were shipping, I'll take design phase out of it because I will hang all of that on Jim Gist and Richard. They did a beautiful job.
Turn his mic off.
Our lighting system with Brandon as well. My job with Crestron was to ensure that those parts showed up here, and we have over $3.2 million of Crestron hardware in this property. Every lighting that you see is controlled through Crestron. That is a really hard task during the pandemic, during COVID. We had another very beautiful property that's built across the city at the exact same time, ensuring that deadlines were met, not just for public space, but for the amazing luxury suites, which there's an opening date, and for our company, that was a really large task, working directly with the property to ensure that the thousands and thousands of boxes, and I mean thousands of boxes, are getting delivered, installed into the equipment room, turned on, and that light turns on, right? Then we have keypads in walls, we have touch screens, we have lots of different parts and pieces that our integration partners have to put together to make work as the system is supposed to function correctly. So I think the biggest task was getting that here, and we did a really good job with our partners to meet that deadline.
You're underselling it, man. We couldn't get product for any projects, right? Like, we were buying out Fontainebleau at the worst possible time in the world, right? Nobody was shipping anything. And, Crestron came through, all of our partners came through, and it was scary.
And not to mention, we were part of the biggest TI in the world.
Yeah.
Right? Because this had an existing building already built that we got to work with.
I mean, what you're looking at, and you're in a 9 million square foot facility, and people forget that when you're in just a general space. And within this facility, we have 100,000 IP devices, and a lot of them are AV, and everything that you see on property, from an audiovisual experience, a control experience, is networked. Our audio system is networked. It's all through QSys. Our video system is all through Visionary, and then all the controls are through Crestron, and all the lighting's through Crestron. And it's critical that they integrate. And the vendors, we did have massive supply chain problems, and Crestron and with Richard's help and a team over at Crestron, they came through, and I have to thank you for that, because that was a little hair raising.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I would make one comment about the delivery of our product as well. So while this is 9 million square feet, there's a solution that this team uses that can stand in this room or really anywhere, using the Crestron's hardware and software and all of the other components to the system that allow for maintenance and ease of use. So I'm going to let Ryan and Richard talk a little bit about how they do that.
Well, you're jumping ahead of our questions, Travis. If you don't mind, one moment. I'd like to highlight the guest experience, right? Because ultimately, that's what we do all of this for. It's so when someone walks in, they feel that experience, and they're like, okay, this is something I'm going to go home and tell my mom about or whatever. So my next question is for you, Jim. How are in-room automation and personalized controls transforming that guest experience at the Fontainebleau, both in the guest rooms themselves, but then also beyond that?
Sure. Dating back to when automation really started, pushing into the hotel experience, a lot of it was give the guest an experience they don't have at home. Well, today, a lot of people have technology at home, frankly, and in a lot of cases, a home is much nicer stay than a hotel room. So when you come into a product like this, we strive to be a 6-star property, and we wanted to elevate an experience. And so when you get into the conversation of elevating an experience, it becomes a slippery slope, because do you put too much in, or is it then too complicated? It's not easy to use, and then is the architecture and the interior design, to encompass this technology? Is it intuitive to find the button to press? And so that's the fine line that you work with, and our goal is when the guest comes, they have the experience starts at the portable share comes in. They can use the technology, whether it's on their personal portable device to get their key or check in, move through the advanced elevator systems into their room, have that ta-da moment where the lights can come on, the drapes can open, and then they have a very rich entertainment experience, whether they're streaming their own personal music, or they have a variety of entertainment options on the TV, from casting your own content to in the way that we've designed the properties, we can actually stream anything to any TV. So if we have a guest that has the need to watch an event live from our theater in their room, and they're that type of guest, we have the ability to do that, and it's easy to control as systems, and to ensure that the guest has that experience, and whether they're in a room or out in the public area, the systems that Travis was talking about is we have to empower Ryan's team with basically a point and control system that they can walk around with an iPad and modify the lighting, the audio, the video on demand. And on the back end, we have similar systems that give you kind of command and control of the property, so you know when you have problems, and the rooms are tech ready for when the guest walks in, because that's the worst thing, if get in there and something doesn't work.
Absolutely. So more on that, Ryan, this next question is actually for you. Considering your role in making this beautiful picture, what kind of feedback have you received from guests and these technology enhancements, and how has that influenced the further development and management of these platforms?
I guess I would, from a feedback standpoint, the guests do kind of enjoy this, automated experience that they get. They walk into their suite and like the drapes open and the lights kind of go to a specific set point, and kind of that flexibility that they get of kind of tuning the room the way they want, instead of this lamp's on, this lamp's off kind of scenario. But other than that, I mean, in reality, we don't get a whole lot of feedback because the system's so intuitive, right? They just walk in and, the keypads make sense and the remote makes sense, and, they can just walk in and it seems like their own home, so.
Creating that home away from home experience.
Correct.
Seamlessly. I love it. So the operation efficiency and sustainability of something like this cannot be understated. This is a huge taking of a property, so how can you manage it? Richard, I got a question for you on this. How have automation and control systems contributed to operational efficiencies, and particularly in terms of energy management, resource optimization, and also creating that experience for a guest if it is something like they want to be seeing the live theater experience from their room?
Yeah, so when we built this, we started looking at what it takes to operate a property of this size, and we kind of came to the conclusion, the operators, and for us, it's Ryan's team, it's bartenders, it's servers, it's managers at the pit stands. So we have a lot of people, running AV and changing things. So we decided early on we were going to build a single pane of glass for the entire property. So Ryan's team, they walk around with an iPad and they have a complete view of the property and all the AV systems in it. They can run it on their phone as a mobile interface. They can run it from anywhere, and that's really empowered them to run more efficiently. So they're not running down to area because they have a call. They can quickly bring it up at their desk and go, oh yes, someone muted this. This is the problem. And that enhances that guest experience drastically. And then we brought that single pane of glass all the way up into the suites. For those wow moments, we said, hey, this is a great thing, but let's make it configurable, because our goal in all of this was, we're not dictating how the property operates. We just wanted to give them the tools to go, the wow moment today is lights and drapes. Tomorrow, maybe just drapes, and give them that ability to fix and change the systems however they wanted. And that goes property-wide.
Having that level of flexibility and that control, and to me, most importantly, is the realm of automation in all of this. It's very easy to press a button and, lights go on, but what's a better experience for the guests is the lights go on without them having to do anything. And that's the boundary that we're pushing here at this property and beyond. So, Ryan, coming back to you actually, from an operational standpoint and working with the staff of this property, how has the integration of these systems affected those operations, the training on how to use it, and the day-to-day management of the hotel?
Speaking on the training standpoint, what Richard built with Runway and Pulse Group and all of them, there's really no need for training in a sense. Like that single pane of glass that he talks about is the same one in every restaurant, and every bar, with their options, right? But it was just so intuitive that nobody really had to second guess on how to use it. They just walked up to it and, just started touching the touchscreen and everything like that. And, some of those employees who, kind of bounce around the property know, oh, yeah, I just have to do this, even though I'm in this spot, not this one. instead of some older resorts that, okay, this restaurant's using this system, this one's using this system, and we have to rewire my brain to figure out what I need to do. So yeah, how intuitive it is just kind of eliminated any need for training. From an operations standpoint, integrated resorts like, 10 plus years ago, like, Cosmo and City Center, they're integrated as much as they could be, right? But they're still very rigid in a sense. You're limited on what you could do versus what somebody wanted to do. Versus here, I don't need to have a team of 20 people because, I don't need to have 5 guys at convention and 3 guys at the podium and 2 guys in the suites. Literally run it off 3 guys so they have their interface and they can, just take a phone call and just do it from their desk really quick, or if they're handling another call to fix something across the property within minutes. It's really cut down costs and calls and kind of gives that guest that faster resolution. So
It's a beautiful blend because from the operational and employee perspective, it's so easy. There's not a lot of training. From the guest experience, it's so easy. There's no steep learning curve or anything beyond that. So it's a nice experience. You don't want to be getting calls when you're running the technology of the hotel. Less calls, the better, because usually that means everything's working very nicely. So going to the event management and public spaces, we're in one of them right now, and we were visiting like 100,000 square feet?
The top floor ballroom, 100,000 square foot, single span.
It's stunning. It looks like an air hangar.
No columns.
So it's a big space. So Brandon, how are the technology systems and lighting controls helping streamline event management and operations at these huge Fontainebleau spaces?
Yeah, so easily put, because we standardize on the equipment, that's less that you guys got to manage. So that's easy for that one on the operations side. I think on the event management side, because that single pane of glass, because the controls are easy and very intuitive, the scene can be set and the mood can be set for whatever the event might be. So if it's a high energy Christmas party, they could crank the lights up. If they need to have them lower lit for a room like this for a cool panel, then they could. So it's at least one. But it's really flexible with all that. And so it makes the event management really easy.
The flexibility of those spaces as well, and going from the software end of things of having that control. Can you, Richard, talk to us a little bit more about the flexibility that the software enables in those event spaces?
Yeah, so the event spaces for us, they're always flexible. They're always, you never know what's going to pop up. So, our goal was to give them tools that they could quickly put events together. This one they know about in advance, but they might come to guest services and say, "Hey, we need another ballroom. We have another thing," and that's where the user interface and the software we put together was really, it's just a few clicks and they can route the audio services, the video services. If they need an extra display, they can just come throw a decoder down on the ground, plug it into the network, and it auto provisions. So, it's a lot of those automations that made the space very flexible and very, very usable very quickly.
Perfect. So moving on to our next little category here, we all know technology moves at a very leisurely, smooth pace, nothing erratic, nothing crazy. So what I wanted to ask Jim and Travis actually was, what future trends in hospitality technology do you foresee having the most significant impact on that guest experience and the hotel operations in the next 5 to 10 years? And for Jim, how is Fontainebleau prepared to tackle those?
I'll take it first. The base way we're going to tackle this is we have bandwidth and connectivity to these rooms. So we have 10 gig we have backbone to every one of these rooms, and we can run that wide open if we want with a fully packed house because we've tested it. But where the things are trending is how do the rooms become more personalized from the check-in? So consumers and guests are becoming more and more apt to share information or share their preferences. And with the onset of AI on everything, how do you use that to set preferences? So is your music going to the room? Are your photos going to the room? What are your personal type of settings are along those lines? From a gaming perspective, what we're seeing, in-stream betting and app betting and all these ways to bet, and it's not far-fetched to say that you could not bet off the TV. And when ESPN Plus new platform launches next year, a big part of that will be ESPN bets, and I could envision that being an extension into the room at some point, just as it is on an app. And I think that will be one of the things that transitions the guest room, at least in Vegas, in the near future.
Travis?
I would echo a lot of the first part of that as well. And I have the unique opportunity of working with some hotel brands, Hilton's, Hyatt's, Marriott's, the larger Four Seasons. They all have their own apps to check in, and you all check in. I stay to one specific place. I travel a lot. I want my points. Some of the keys are mobile check-in, some are not. But as I check in, I wonder, why isn't the climate where I want it to be? There's a thermostat in the room. Why does it not know that I like it at 75 degrees? And that is a preference that can very easily be triggered with the control systems that we have in here. It's the software piece that's missing, and every one of the different companies that have their own GRMS system don't pull from a standard place. Right? So if you have a middleware that knows you like ESPN, I don't care if you're at a Hilton or a Marriott, when I check in, the TV could be set to ESPN. It could know that Travis is checking in, the room should be 75 degrees. Every room has a thermostat, and every room has a TV. Your name is across them. Every time I check in, my name's on there, and it's got the logo, but it's so hard to find a TV channel. Right? Those are the things that I think when you look at how can you make a guest experience better, it's not hard. That stuff is there. We make the hardware. We've done it for a long time. We just don't have the properties to buy into. Okay, we're all not going to do our own specific thing. Maybe there's a data pool that I can go and grab. Travis's, Jim's, Ryan's, I go to sleep at 11. I set that parameter, and my thermostat turns to 72. It does it in my home. I'd love it to do it in a hotel. Or down to a foam pillow. I always ask for a foam pillow. If I check in and you know that, why isn't it there? Those are where I look at the things. How can we grow this? And our technology enables that. It's just this close to being done.
Everyone has their own idea of how it should be done, and while you can maybe standardize on the SKUs for hardware side, the software is where you have.
And the infrastructure's here. The bandwidth is here to do it. The products are here to do it. It is literally just this close.
Perfect. So my last question, so we can keep this panel on track, is kind of to everyone. After going through this experience, what is your number one piece of advice that you would give to other hospitality leaders, either in your sphere of things or other spheres, to when they're looking to integrate cutting-edge technology in their own operations?
I'll go ahead and start. I mean, the number one thing that I tell owners today is take the responsibility for buying and sourcing all the technology out of the contractor's budget, because it's twofold. One, the properties need to have the owner to have the relationships with these vendors. If the relationships lie with the contractor and you have to wait for it to turn over, you don't even know what you bought. And in this case, in this particular property, that happened more often than you can imagine. And so we start running a property, and it's like, oh, we own this, and here's how it operates, or, oh, that's the wrong thing, and now you're in a compliance issue. And so taking that and owning that is critical, and you can negotiate a much better deal. And so that, and then great project management. You've got to have good project management. You've got to have, set what your expectations are and drive accountability, or the project won't happen. And it's okay to hold people accountable. You've got, it's not about grinding an axe. It's just getting the job done. So those are the key takeaways.
Brandon, what about you?
I would say probably coordination early on, so the vision of what you want it to be is talked about, and so you can bring the right partners to the table and begin to coordinate all of that way. So,
Ryan?
I would say probably designing for more infrastructure than you think you need. That's the nice place. The nice thing about here is there's literally any kind of port or access that I could use, because when there's a special event or something and somebody wants to put something right here, I don't have to run a cable around or anything like that. So I would say flexibility on infrastructure and standardization. You know, whatever you put in, that you try and make, you know, you put the same type of device everywhere else, because it kind of just gives you that security if something were to break, that you know you have the same piece somewhere else.
And also familiar
Yes.
with it as well
Yes.
from the maintenance standpoint. Richard, what about you?
I'd echo a lot of Jim's sentiment. That so much of what we do is such a close relationship, and we're always here after the fact, right? You know, it's not just, we didn't just build this thing. We're still here. We're still servicing it. We're still, still a partner of Fontainebleau. So, we're the one. The technology partners always have the long relationships. And then second to that, build a good network. Everything that we do is on the network. Don't cheap out there. Find a good network partner, and it's such a core piece to everything. All the features he loves are all features that we have in our switching platform. It's without the network, you don't have a foundation.
Absolutely. And Travis?
I think I'd jump in and say partnership with the ownership group, with the brand, and with the integrator, and from the beginning. So while I have a great relationship because we've been in this town for a long time, it's still really important for me to have relationships with the properties. The property will say things to me maybe that they wouldn't say to an integrator. The integrator will say things to me that they might not say to a property. The owner's rep might say things to all of us that we don't want to hear.
Hey, turn his mic off. No.
In this case, it was really, really quite good. But to Jim's point, you have to hold people accountable. Our deadlines were really critically important. We, as a company, made commitments to not sell certain products that we knew we wouldn't be able to get to our partners during this project, and that's not an easy thing to do, but that's the type of relationship you want to have, so that when they know we're going to have a lighting system, maybe it's this other piece that we can't provide them, but we were able to do that. And I think having the relationship with the people at this table tremendously benefited Crestron and the brand for Fontainebleau.
You're always going to find out one way or another if you can or cannot get a piece. Better to know ahead of time. But yeah, so I think that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. If you'd like to learn more about what Crestron does, please feel free to visit our booth, and I will have you talk to Travis and not me. Yeah, gentlemen, any final words?
Thank you.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
the property.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Guys.